Happy Monday. How you doing? How was your weekend? Hope you had fun. Hope you stayed safe. Hope everything went well. Went well here. We had a good time. Uh, got the kitchen cabinets done yesterday and got to hang out again with a few of the guys in the old ladies. Hold on a second. I gotta check something. I do this every Monday. I'm on my laptop right now. I got some emails to get to and whatnot. It's easier to type on, full-size keypad than it is on, phone keypad. I gotta do this every Monday. My bills, I got my gas and electric. I gotta check YouTube. See how many views I got in my videos last week. See if I have enough to pay my bills. I tell you, it's not always cracked up to be trying to live off YouTube, let me tell you. Just made it with 35 cents to spare. And I'll tell you, I'm lucky right now. My gas bill is only $62. Haven't been using the heat, but we're going to be hitting the heat pretty soon now. So right now, gas only for cooking, hot water tank, clothes dryer. Once the heat starts, cranking up here, the gas bill will go up to like $175, $180 a month, Kind of hoping I get more subs and views this winter, or I'm fucked, Anyway, I heard a few things I thought was funny. Like I say, I heard about my buddy, Buffy the Studebaker Slayer. He still ain't doing nothing with this project with the Studebaker. Crypt Keeper still ain't, doing shit. Set back for subs and views. And order yakking about everything and anything except that Save the Children 318, And I heard Buffy the Studebaker Slayer. He's not doing much to a Studebaker. Remember that movie Snakes on a Plane with Samuel L. Jackson? I hate these motherfucking snakes. Oh, Buffy the Studebaker Slayer hates that motherfucker snake in his house. He had a snake in his house. I heard he put up a video of a snake. Got a snake in his house. Hope that snake doesn't jump up and bite Miss Titty Nipples on the dick, and Buffy will have to suck the poison out, And I guess Sanford bought another toy. I guess his pickle sniffers are really thrilled. Hey, bought another Harley. I went and I checked out the video. I did. On rare occasions, when it pertains to certain things I got a little bit of a knowledge about, along with a crew that we know a thing or two or three about certain things. See what he's saying about it now. He claims to be a big Harley expert, so he's a big expert on everything, And I remember his previous bragging on, all his bikes. Bought an Evo Sportster. Those are good engines. They are, in all seriousness, they are a good engine. They were a major step up from the previous generation. I never had an Evo. I had a couple shovels. FXE Superglide 1200 shovel, and even that's when AMF had bought them out by that time. And a lot of Harley guys didn't like that. They called them the bowling ball and pool table bike. They hated seeing Harley Davidson by AMF. Guys would buy brand new ones. They go up to Monty's in Bridgewater, and they'd buy a brand new fucking Harley, and they'd scrape the fucking, or they put a sticker over a big Harley Davidson to hide that AMF. But they were good by AMF saved Harley from their first bankruptcy. And they invested a lot of money. They improved it. At that point, Harley, their bikes had gone down and down. They weren't making any improvements. And there was a time when you walked in a Harley dealership, and Triumph and BSA were famous for that too. You see brand new ones on a showroom floor. They have a coffee can under the crankcase to catch your fucking oil that was leaking out of there. That's how bad they were. They would seep like a motherfucker. And it had nothing to do with gaskets. It was just the manufacturing of the parts that they didn't have a good fit. Warpage and, They greatly improved the suspension, changed the design, lowered it a little bit, gave it a little lower center of gravity. They handled better braking, increased power, you know. They became a better bike. Evos, my last two have been Screaming Eagles. And the only Howie that really never caught on with people was their V-Rod. They were expensive for one thing, and they couldn't quite get into, you know, you had your super bikes, you know, real fast, you know, accelerating bikes, and guys who want to know drag race them or whatever. The V-Rod made a ton of power, but they just never caught on. They never really caught on with Howie buyers. And the Evo's a good engine, though. It really is. And he bought another Sportster. Why? It was cheap. It was on Marketplace. Like I said, the guy lives on the fucking internet. His wife's even mentioned it at times. He lives in his garage, lives in his internet. His only friendships are people he goes to drop in on them when they got a go-kart or something. He can get some content to make a video. His friendships are all one-sided. And it's a one-way street that leads right back to him with some sort of money that he can make off of them with content. It's what it comes down to. You know? I remember he had that one Sportster we bought. It's the flip. That's the only thing he's ever really done. And he still does it behind the scenes. Potting out, flipping. You know, that was his mainstay pretty much. You know, when he was back in New York before he had to do a dyslexic Beverly Hillbillies. You know, they left the sticks, the hills to go to the big city. He left the big city to go to the hills because he was neck deep in shit there. You know, between problems he created. A lot of it had to do with his potting and flipping things, you know, VIN tags, titles being altered a little bit, and then multiple failed businesses, bankrupt. Even though you file for bankruptcy, you still owe, you know, it doesn't wipe out all your debt. You still have creditors that you owe money to for the loans you took out for these businesses and whatnot. Then he loses his license for life there. New York is not as forgiving, you know, as Tennessee when it comes to getting caught driving without a license. You're not going to get away with that shit in New York, so he was being closed in from every direction. He had to get the fuck out of there, you know. But I remember him saying, oh, man, I had 200 motorcycles at my house. Couldn't even fit them all in the yard. I had motorcycles in our living room, in our bedroom, in the hallway, even in the bathroom. You couldn't walk around the house without stubbing your toe or whacking your arm on a fucking motorcycle. Yeah, he had 200 motorcycles. You know, probably all junkie potted out, and I doubt he had that many. But anyway, let him talk. And then he said he's owned 30 Sportsters. He probably got 30 junks like that. Sportster frame, stripped out frame. Maybe he considers that a sport. One of the Sportsters he owns, if he's going to make it into a dirt bike. Remember that shit? He bought that one a while back. It was a real old one, like a 62 or something. And the guy even said it was painted. The guy, whoever had it, painted it with a brush, with latex house paint, painted it with a brush. He bought that thing fucking dirt cheap. It barely ran. She still have that, by the way? Or did that get flipped already? It is Christmas is coming. Does he finally get that boat fixed up for his granddaughter? That thing's gone. That was flipped. And then he had that Buell. That Buell Blast was a joke. They made like 32, 34 horsepower. They were being sold through Howie dealerships for a while, and then that didn't work out so well. Buell was never a good bike. They're big sport bikes. That Blast was a joke. You might as well buy a fucking scooter. You got one cylinder hard-on sticking on the front. With that project, he was going to bore it and stroke it and turn it into a real beast to show that you can really get power out of these bikes. He was going to Sanfordize it. And so when that was fucking New Year's Eve party, I remember hearing about that. When I think my ex-boyfriend, Austin Powers, was there with his girlfriend and his other stooges with their girlfriends. He had his big bash, you know, in his garage, New Year's Eve. Moved some of the junk parts off the table, plopped a couple of pizza boxes on there, a bottle of soda, and a bag of chips. I'll tell you, this guy knows how to put out a fucking high-class spread for a party, let me tell you. You should be catering weddings on the side. And he took that Buell and said, well, there was a problem with second gear, but first he was going to rebuild all the engine and borrow his stroke it and everything. Then he put the front wheel up against the wall and did a burnout and scattered the transmission, but he didn't care. He was going to have to rebuild it. That thing ended up getting all stripped out and potted out. I remember somebody telling me that was when he was power washing a greasy engine on a nice, clean concrete pad behind the shop, making a mess out of the fucking concrete. Somebody said, yeah, he had a big pile of junk you could see off to the side. Big pile of all thrown there. And you could see that stripped out Buell frame, the front fork and the wheel. The wheel was off the fork, because you can tell the rims on those. You can tell what they're about. It says it was there in pieces, all fucking stripped out, sitting there, putting a pile of fucking junk. Well, I guess that never got, rebuilt and bored and stroked. And transmission never got fixed. Then he had that frame. He's going to turn that Sportster frame. It was all stripped out. Just a bare frame. Going to turn that into a dirt bike. Oh, yeah, that party too. I'll never forget that. He laughed. He says, Brian, all of them, him, my ex-boyfriend, and all of them, they're all sitting in a big fucking row. And his wife's on the fucking computer, throwing questions at him. And Sanford's in a rocking chair, and they're all just sitting next to him like this, all in a row. They said it looked like they were getting ready to play a game of musical chairs. And that was their fucking New Year's Eve on fucking YouTube, and he's talking about this one here. Saying, well, he bought it real cheap. That is very true. You want to buy a bike, and now is the best time. Well, depending where you live in the country. If you got good weather all year, you're riding all year, you won't see prices really fluctuate much. Around here, get a bike pretty cheap now, because guys that want to buy a bike, they want to get on and ride them. Like even now, past few weeks, weather's been shitty. Yesterday, we knew it was going to be rainy and shitty. That's what we planned yesterday, for the guys to come over and help me out with the cabinets and shit. Or else we would have been out for a ride, because we don't have many more riding weekends left, before it's too cold here and getting a lot of rain and snow and shit. So, and then everything's put away until like, April, So, we do what we can when we can. And nobody wants to buy a bike at a time when they're going to buy it, bring it home, and they can't ride it for 4 or 5 months. They want to enjoy it, so they'll wait until the spring, and then prices go up. So those are not too, excited about wanting to ride right away. They can save some money. Yeah, they'll buy them now. That's very true. And I guess you got a good deal for $2,500 on this thing. It runs, but there was a problem with it. He's got to do some things to it. He's got to change the seat and change something. He doesn't like this, doesn't like that. This thing's going to get flipped. He just bought it cheap out. It's going to sit around. Come next spring, it's back on Marketplace. And he'll try to make, some money off it. Come on, let's get real. And something about, he has to fix something because it had something about a cable. I was busy. Bill was talking to me about something and whatnot, and I got distracted a little bit. I was watching, but not really so much listening to every little thing. Something about, it runs, but it doesn't have enough power to go up a hill. It chugs, and, something about with the throttle. There was something in the way that you can't, open up the throttle all the way to get full power out of the engine. Now, what guy was riding around on a fucking bike like that with only half throttle that it's chugging going up a fucking hill? Come on, there's something fucking wrong with that engine or transmission. Guy in our crew, George, in fact, he came by. He was one of the guys that came by with his old lady yesterday. He owns G&G Howie with his brother Gilly. Gilly's not in the crew, but he's a welcome friend. He does things with us at times. They own G&G Howie, sells new Howies, and he takes trade-ins on things, but they got to be good bikes. He'll even take in a crotch rocket. The kids want to buy bikes too, but they need to be good bikes. He said guys rolling there with a bike and it's chugging and running rough. You take a trade-in? What's wrong with that? The way he says it and what he is. What's wrong with that? Oh, I just needs plugs. Okay. I sell plugs. Tell you what, I'll give you the plugs. I'll give you a couple plugs and I'll give you a wrench. You put new plugs in it, and then we'll fire it up. And if it's running right, then we'll talk trade and I'll see what I'll give you for it. He says, and you should hear the excuses I get. Oh, well. They know damn well that thing's got an issue. They had it checked out somewhere. They know there's a problem. It's got a burnt valve. Something's fucked up inside there. They want to pass it off as bad plugs. And they want to fucking unload it on him. He looks at me and says, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see you back here again with that thing. You know, it happens with cars all the time. See a car. Oh, it only needs a tune-up. Well, then do it. Oh, I don't have the money. I already spent too much money on it. You've been spending a lot of money on it? What else has been wrong with it? You know what I mean? If it's a simple thing. It's only a gasket. It's only this. Well, then fucking do it. When somebody comes along and it's running right and the way it should, and you can up the price a little bit, and people won't mind paying a fair price for a product, a car, a bike, whatever, that runs good, and they can get in it, turn key, turn throttle, mash the pedal, crank the throttle and start it and ride it, drive it, and no problem. You know what I mean? When they start with shit like that, it only needs this, and they don't do it, and it's really not that expensive of a fix. You know that there's more going on behind the scenes, that they just want to unload this thing in private sale, you know, buying it as is. You know, George has been around the block or 2 or 3 in life. He doesn't, you know. So anyway, so Sanford is saying, well, I don't plan on riding it. Actually, I don't plan on riding it much. I'm just going to fix a few things on it. I have my other one that I don't even ride. I keep it at the house, though. I don't keep it here. I keep it at the house because it's pristine. It's 883. I remember that one. I even showed that video to Kenny and the crew. They said the same thing. That bike is fucking jacked. Big time. That's that orange 883. Said it's pristine. I guess in his eyes, because it has the original paint on it, that makes it pristine. But that bike is fucked. That thing was in a bad front end hit. Bad front end hit. That gooseneck and down tube is tweaked. You can see the whole geometry on the bike is off. I doubt that front wheel is tracking straight behind the rear wheel. Even when he showed it, it had no fender on it. It had been hit in the front. It had no fender on it. No headlight, no directionals, no gauges. That front end was all fucking mashed in. And bad enough that it fucking tweaked that frame. Knocked off the whole fucking geometry of that thing with its tracking ability. And you could even see in the cornering, he was riding down the road and turning into the driveway, going like, 10, 15 miles an hour. And he's trying to lean the bike over, and the bike wanted to stay straight. That's because that front wheel is off in the back. So you're trying to lean it over, and the front wheel is kind of what they call it wants to oversteer. It won't, you know what I mean? When you lean in. When you lean in, it countersteers. When it's cocked in the opposite direction, the bike don't want to lean out. It wants to go in the opposite direction. The bike wanted to keep standing up, even though he was trying to lean it to turn. They even said, man, there's something wrong with that frame. That thing had a bad hit. And somebody just straightened out the fucking handlebars. Threw a new fucking fork and front tire on it just to get it to roll and run. But that whole front end is fucked. You know? They just want to unload it cheap. And he bought it cheap. He's calling that pristine. Pristine bike. Like I said, I guess it has the original paint on it. To him, that's pristine. Well, compared to all his other junk that most of them don't even have paint, it's all flaked off and faded and rust and rot. I guess having somewhat decent paint on something makes it pristine in his eyes. Whatever. So anyway, that's his new thing that he's got his pickle snippers all thrilled about. Hey, Sanford's got another fucking Howie. Is he badass or what? That thing's going to get flipped. You know? Come next spring. It'll get flipped. So anyway, that's about it. That's about it. Did I mention the Crypt Keeper? Yeah, he still ain't even another fucking scammer on here. I know people don't like when I say people scam for money. Hey, too fucking bad. Too fucking bad. And a little ho GTO update. Didn't touch over the weekend. This week I'll dibble and dabble a little bit. I'm thinking, since I'm doing that in the Christmas theme, with the green, red, and white. Yeah, I am psyched about Christmas. Can't help it if you're not. Maybe I should call that Santa's new hot rod sleigh. What do you think about that? Anyway, okay. Now that I don't have to worry about, paying my gas and electric bill, I got enough views last week to cover it. Thank you, YouTube. How could I ever survive without you? And I got 35 cents to spare, but now I got to worry now. Now we're going to start using the heat now, for the winter. I might have to start begging people to sub my channel and watch my videos. I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope it doesn't come to that. I think about what Auntie Billy, my daughters, my son-in-laws, my brother, my parents and my sister, if they were still alive, how I would humiliate them. People found out that, I was panhandling on here and begging on YouTube, and cast a cloud of shame upon the family name. Anyway, have a great day. Tomorrow, VTH, Thursday again. And to reiterate, hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had fun. Hope you stayed safe. Hope you get to spend it with people you've enjoyed being around, and you are around them often. You look forward to their company. You look forward to the things you do. It's a wonderful life. Isn't that a Christmas movie? Jimmy Stewart. It's a Wonderful Life. It's one of the few Christmas movies I actually like. Anyway, till next time.